I don't know, man.
Ah,
Yeah, I think it is
well,
gating. Because as soon as you stop talking,
we will
it's
find
like gate.
out. That's weird.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's some kind of setting. I'm using the Volt 2 today. It's the first time I've used it. I've got the gain like cranked.
Oh, really?
Such as life, I guess. I don't know. There's probably some UA controller, UA Volt Gate. What do we got? Welcome to whatever this is, live stream. It's a Sunday afternoon.
It's a Q&A.
I woke up this morning and thought it was Saturday.
Did you really?
Which is always, yeah. I was like, oh, it's Saturday. I was like, oh wait, no, it's not. It's not Saturday. It is Sunday. So,
yeah, I dig it. What's up, y'all? I see a bunch of folks chiming in saying, hey, welcome to the live stream. We're going to hang out. We're going to talk. We're going to answer a few questions. We're going to talk about what's hot this week and in the last couple weeks, I guess, because last time we talked,
I don't know if
you don't want to talk about what's hot this week?
Talk about what's hot this week. It's kind of
well, everything's
I don't know if
we get into weather.
I'm going to grab something real quick because I don't know if I talked about it last time, and
okay,
I do want to talk about it this time.
Okay. Well, while Steve's gone, I'm gonna pictures of this. Oh, you get to see the screen. Look at that. Oh, there we go. It's so pretty.
Okay. Now I'm actually ready.
Okay, good. I was just showing pictures of the Firebird. So
I dumped coffee. Like I dumped 2/3 full cup of coffee, like 10 minutes ago. It was cold. It had like cooled off because I poured it before I started getting all set up.
Yeah.
So it had cooled down, but now I'm basically sitting. My feet are in coffee. I got a towel on the ground. I don't think it's working.
Having a day, huh?
Yeah. Hey, Snarky, my Logify, Joe, Rob, Lucid Star, David Ross. How's everyone going? Greg Stimple asks, let's start with this.
All right.
What do you think of the Squire Paranormal Esquire Deluxe in blue sparkle? That is the new one. That's one of the new finishes, right?
Yeah, I think it is. I'm going to look it up now so I can actually, because actually I've not seen it because I got really stuck on looking at the new Shell Pink Rascal base. And so I haven't even looked at some of the other new colors. So let me look at this one.
It looks like this.
Oh, you're going to share it? Good.
It's showing a little dark in StreamYard. It's like a medium blue.
I gotcha.
I would say. Here's the thing. The whole like Esquire Deluxe already is kind of like mind-boggling to me. This single humbucker Esquire.
Okay, so I'm going to chime in here. And I love the single humbucker Esquire because it's got the three-way switch that works like the three-way switch on an Esquire.
Right.
I'm actually in the process of wiring up my Hennett Revival T as an Esquire.
Okay.
I started to do it yesterday. Yeah, I started to do it yesterday, and I pulled the plate, the control plate, and it's got an Emerson wiring harness in there. Have you ever seen the Emerson wiring harnesses?
I've seen them, yeah. I remember when they were coming up.
They're things of beauty, dude. Yeah. They're like hardwired. They've got this really crazy ground rail. So I didn't want to dismantle it. So I just ordered a new one. So I'm waiting on that to come in. Now, having said that, I love this guitar. I love that it exists. I badly want to take the neck off of it and put a different neck on it. I don't
off the Squire or no the
Squire. Yeah, the Squire. Because the reason I don't like that pale wood maple.
Right.
It drives me crazy. I'm a hater that hates the big headstock. So
it's a lot of hating in there.
I know, but I love this. I love the idea of this guitar. I just think it's got a couple of little things that would make it a really just like a no-brainer for me if it's fixed.
Yeah. So you're saying this? I mean, I guess I'm looking at the pictures. It is a pretty light
Yeah, it's real
finish,
pale.
and it needs that that slightly kind of that vintage yellow that I think a lot of the CVs have.
Yep. And I honestly, I'd rather have the laurel or rosewood fingerboard on this one.
In fact, even
Aesthetically,
those CV bases that we both have kind of a little more of a vintage tint
they do.
on it. So
I'm
yeah,
looking at mine.
that's a complaint I've had with kind of like Squires for a while. Is I feel like that's always a problem. A couple other things here. I don't know the answer to this, Robert. I know we've talked about it. Ryan's, I think, still on a trip right now, so I don't know if he's
He
gonna.
is, because I've been messaging him this morning with food options.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah. So I don't know when
I
he's
sent him
back. So
favorites.
I don't, and in turn, I don't know if he's gonna want to come back and then immediately turn around to try to do a like content event.
Right.
So what do you got? What do you got new besides that? Well, I don't know. Let's talk about the Firebird. I
Yeah,
know
let's
you.
talk about the Firebird. The Firebird is an exercise in staying off a reverb when you're inebriated. I'm not even joking. I had no intentions of buying a Firebird, which is why I've had to ramp up. Luckily, I've sold a couple of things to pay for most of this, right? But I made a statement, and I'm going to caveat for anyone that watches this later down the line and doesn't look at the date. We're talking on July 23rd. Oh, it's July 23rd. I had a band named July
Wow.
23rd. Um,
Why?
okay, give me a second. I'll get to that story. Remind me. So uh, I had made a statement months ago because I've been sort of hunting for a Firebird, right? I had the Cower Banshee and I loved it. I had the Epiphone Firebird and I loved it, but ultimately they just, took a back seat. I was like, I really want it's stupid. I want the name on the headstock. I know it's dumb, but
Right.
it's who I am. And but they were going for outrageous money, like 23, 24, $2,500, even some even higher for that, just for a regular production Firebird 5. And I was like, okay, this is dumb. I'm not
Yeah.
paying that much. And so I said, just hold out. I'll wait and I'll get one when they're $1,500 again for used.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, over in the Discord, said we have a channel just for gear pushing, and one of the folks over there kept posting pictures of them, posting listings of them, and they were still too much. Then finally he shared one that was 1,750 and accepted offers. I said this guy would take 1,500, and they said, "Oh really?" I said, "I don't think they would." I said, "Watch." That was my mistake. So I made an offer, and it got taken.
That's like the classic eBay, back in the day, the classic eBay story is you placed a bid at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
on something that ended at like 5 a.m, and all of a sudden
and you got
you own a thing.
Yeah, but I got it at a killer price. It is in almost pristine condition. There's like the tiniest pin size like finish. It looks like it might have hit the edge of something, and it didn't break the finish or crack it, but it's like just barely showing where the finish is, a little marred. But
Mm,
it's other than that, it's perfection. Ugly in the ladies' man. Yeah, I don't understand. There's a 1, there's a 3, there's a 5, there's a 7. I understand some of those variations, but then there's variations inside of those. And like
right.
this is technically a 2017 Firebird T, which is a 5. None of it makes sense. Fender and Gibson don't know how to name things because they've made too many things. So, but yeah, I'm pumped about this one.
So according to True Vintage Guitar,
Mm-hmm.
Gibson Firebird models are identified by the Roman numeral name. So 1 is a 1 pickup reverse.
Correct.
2 of Firebird 2 is the base model, which I don't.
Shouldn't that be a 4?
You would think.
Damn.
I tried to search for a Firebird 2, but then when I search for Firebird 2, I get a lot of results that are not base
Not bases.
models.
Yeah.
So that's a little confusing.
Yeah. So That's its own on other issue. Then you've
Three.
also got the 3.
It says the 3 is the 2 pickup short vibrola.
Mhm.
4 is the fancy base model, which also, if the 2 was already not the base model, maybe this was just in the 1960s, and maybe I don't know. The V, well, then it says the 5 or the V
Uh-huh.
pictured here, which is a 2 mini humbucker or 2 Firebird pickup with the vibrola, but yours doesn't.
Well, that's because when they reissued it, when they put it back out, they did not put it out with the vibrola. So you'll see that on both on the 3, the 5, and I think maybe the 7, that when they reissued them, you didn't get the vibrola. You do get it on some of the custom shop models.
Mm-hmm.
And while I love the look of the vibrola, I would never use it because it is not a great vibrato. So I don't mind not having it.
Music Radar. Here, I can share this for us all. Music Radar has a Picto. I don't know what they call this, but it's got pictures. So this is the Firebird 1.
Okay.
But then they just skip to the Firebird.
So
This
that's 5.
the 5.
Because okay, so another difference between the 5 and the 3, even if they have the vibrola or the stop tail, is
Mm-hmm.
the 5 has with the block inlays,
Oh, okay.
and the 3 has the dot inlays.
So then this is the 7, which is the
3 pickup, gold hardware
yep.
vibrola
This is the non-reverse 1,
with the short vibrola.
the non-reverse 3, another version, I guess. I guess this is the non-reverse 5.
Yep.
And the 10. So
Yeah.
they don't even talk
Cyberdex.
about the 2 or the 4
Yeah.
in this.
Yeah, because technically they're called the Thunderbird and not the Firebird. So I don't know at this point. The namings don't make sense. All I know is I got one. I love it. I loved the Epiphone one too. And actually, because when they reissued these, Gibson, like, I don't know what they were doing, man, but the pickups are these ceramic mini humbucker monstrosities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Nissan does bring up a good point though. Ibanez knows how to name stuff with such illustrious names as the RG M590 QLMX
DLX.
LMNOP, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that's like Ibanez and Gretsch are kind of like in the same world for me, where it's like if you crack the code, you are good.
Yeah.
Like, but if you're a normal person, I think with Gretsch, it's like, you know, that I knew that the difference between the 5 series and the 6 series is, I think the 6 series, is it the 6 series that's American and the 5 series that's import, or like one of them is now see, I'm already screwing it up.
Yeah.
Gretsch naming. We're just talking about names. What a
man,
boring
I love that we're going hard at the tough topics here.
Gretsch talk forum. How do model numbers work? And the first guy says, "What's the reasoning?" And then the second guy says, "That's a good question," and does not even attempt to answer it. Okay, so this guy says in the 50s, all of the model numbers started with a 6. So that's why I was thinking like everything in the US is a 6.
Right.
Everything that is import, I think, is a 5. But then in the 90s, they added the 1 and 2 series, which I think now it says 1 was added for synchromatic and 2 was added for electromatic. But now I think the electromatics might be rolled into the 5 series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Also in the early 2000s, a new electromatic line was created, which started with a 5. 1, 2, and 3 went away. No, the current numbers Gretsch 2 series is the Streamliner series. Which is,
okay.
My father-in-law has a Gretsch, one of the Streamliner models.
So
5 is electromatic, 6 is the Pro line. So basically it's 2, 5, 6. But then if you have like say a 55420 and a
uh-huh.
6420, they're going to be like the same everything, or at least like conceptually the same, but they're going to be, one is going to be made like in China or Indonesia or something, and the other one is probably either going to be made in the US or Japan.
Well, I mean,
Something like that.
Gibson did something similar at one point. The
Mm-hmm.
ES335 TDC.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
TDC is what, tremolo double cut?
tremolo double pickups,
Okay.
and I forget what the C is. But then you've also got the ES, the electric Spanish.
Yeah.
The number was the cost. So when an ES335 was released, it was $335.
TDC is thin line dual pickup cherry.
Cherry, that's it.
Apparently.
That's what it is. It's the thin line, so it's not the full hollow. It's the thin line, dual pickup, cherry finish, electric Spanish, $335 thin line dual pickup cherry.
Were they really originally 330? Is that really how
That's really how that came up.
So
The
back
ES 125 was $125. The ES
That's
175,
crazy.
yeah.
Of course, I guess like the ES 125, 135s, those were all introduced what, like 20 years before the 335 series?
Not the 135, but yes, the 120. There was no 135 until the 90s.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
wasn't that the 137, right?
No,
Was
it's
there a 135 also?
the red one behind me is a 135.
Oh, okay.
And this one right here is a 137 custom.
Is it just the difference is the pickups primarily?
It is. The woods are a little different. The custom has a different, it has like split diamond inlays,
Sure.
has an
Sure,
ebony
sure. Yeah.
fingerboard. It's also got a 3-piece maple neck. So it's also a lot heavier.
Snarky asks, Ibanez had a lawsuit guitar at one time. So the lawsuit stuff is, the more I've looked into it and I've forgotten a lot, the lawsuit stuff is kind of like rumor and innuendo. But yeah, a lot of 70s models, Ibanez, Bernie, I forget who else, they were all using the Gibson headstock with a set neck. And so then they eventually all switched to like Ibanez and their own kind of branding with that. And so everything that was made before, when they would have been open to potentially to a lawsuit, has been deemed the lawsuit era. But from what I've ever read, there wasn't actually ever a lawsuit. And given kind of like the business practices at the time, I think, Japan in the 70s was maybe kind of like how China is now, where it's like, oh, you're going to try to sue a foreign entity that is doing mass manufacture of a lot of goods. Like, good luck with that.
Technically speaking, Gibson did file a lawsuit against the Elgar company, which was the distributor for Ibanez.
Oh, okay.
And I had to look it up because also you can find it listed under the Hishino brand.
Right.
But strictly speaking, if you ever want to be pedantic and that guy, the actually guy,
I would never want to be that guy.
Never ever. Ibanez is the only legitimate lawsuit era guitars. Any other brand that we call lawsuit era, like think about the Takaminis that look like Martins,
Yeah,
and stuff like that. We can call them lawsuit era, but they were never sued.
so
And
it was only Ibanez.
Only Ibanez.
Oh, okay.
And remember, a lawsuit is not the same as a C&D. A cease and desist is not filing suit on someone. It's essentially a legal way of asking, please stop using this because we have the right to it. So
I always want to talk about, I know Ryan and I have alluded to this before, and I guess I'm about to allude to it again.
Before you do that, Robert, yes, I am learning pedal steel. I'm not good. I'm getting there.
That Ryan and I got cease and desisted recently.
Recently?
Was it this year or late last year? I guess it was this year. but I don't think we're ever going to go into the details on that because I think it's going to drive too much traffic to the brand. It's a brand that we covered, like I'll just say it's a brand that we covered like a couple years ago, maybe yeah, like 2 or 3 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and we did not have any direct contact with them. It was just somebody sent us one of their guitars, a friend of ours,
Okay.
and so it was like a personal friend. So we actually took it and did a review. Ryan did a video of it. That video is no longer listed, by the way. Um, and basically, the guy messaged us and was like, "Oh, cool! I didn't know you did a video. Thanks so much. I got a bunch of orders. My website, spiked. My website traffic blew up."
Oh, wow.
And then basically, like, dude kind of like didn't fulfill all. Like, I don't know how many orders he fulfilled, but he didn't fulfill
Yeah.
all of them, and kind of like ghosted. And so got a couple comments on the video saying like, "Hey, I've been trying to get build updates from this company and they're not responding." So we just added a caveat to the video, like
Right.
in the body of the text of the thing saying, "Hey, if you want one of these, you should buy it used because the company's gone AWOL." Like,
Okay.
or no, we didn't say the company's gone AWOL. It's like, we've been getting reports that this company has gone AWOL. So if you want to be 100% safe, buy used.
Yeah.
And then like a year after that, the guy messaged us and said, "Hey, I have been out of business, and now I'm back. Um, can you let your people know? Can you let your audience know that we are trying to like we're in the process of fulfilling all the back orders?" So we actually did that on Facebook, but we left the message up on YouTube
Okay.
that like this is still kind of like a weird situation. I don't even think we remembered that the message was up there. Um, and then like another year later, we just get an email from a lawyer saying
Oh,
saying
no.
that we're committing trademark defamation, I think is the term, which actually we looked into it and we did contact a lawyer, and we learned that I think it's trademark defamation is one of the hardest legal uh, things to prove.
Right, right. He'd have to actually show that your video caused legitimate image and
Yeah.
sales
Well,
harm.
he would also have to prove that it was done. I think it was done maliciously. You can
Mm,
offer an opinion. Is basically you can say
You're
whatever
fighting
you want to call
for
this,
anything.
creator, influencer, whatever. You can
Yeah.
say I could say like I'm using the UA Volt. I'm getting used to it. It doesn't work for certain things, but I think that's because of the IT department at my company. Well, I don't have the Volt drivers installed on my computer, so it doesn't work with my work computer.
Okay.
So far, it's working good on this, but um, I could say right now, or I could write a post saying, "In my opinion, UA sucks. Here's all the reasons why I think UA sucks." And then I list out my reasons, and as long as I say this is my opinion,
Right, right.
then
And
I can
or
say
if
it.
you
But
just are reading if you're just reading the specs of something and
yeah,
say you wish it had
these
something
yeah.
else.
But if I say objectively UA sucks, now I'm committing trademark or trademark whatever. So
Yeah.
because we said like, "Hey, this business, we're getting reports," in my opinion, I'm not a legal expert, but in my opinion, because our statement said, uh, if you or like we have received reports that this is the case. So basically do your diligence before you buy.
Right.
Um, uh, I think we were pretty much covered as we are offering an opinion. We're not saying don't buy this thing. We're saying be careful, which is a whole thing in general, like always be careful. Um, but again, that's like a whole thing where then we'd have to we sent the cease and desist off to a friend of ours who's a lawyer
Sure.
who's and he was like, "Yeah, you could fight this if you wanted to and you would probably win, but it's going to cost money, it's going to take a bunch of time, it's going to do a bunch of things, and at the end of it, we just decided, like, let's just take the videos down.
Yeah, it's not worth that fight.
And I think the weirdest thing. Oh no, my hunt, Rick, it's finally smearing.
Oh
Rick was in
no.
here earlier. It's finally smearing. I don't know why. I've had this mug for a long time. It's the kind of thing that it's real.
You mean this mug?
My monitors just all shut off.
Oh, it's okay. You do mean this mug, the one
that is that mug, yeah.
Yeah, I was drinking coffee out of it this morning. Rick, mine is not smudging. I don't know what these Neanderthals are doing to your mugs. Mine is still perfect. Sorry,
I've never. This is because I heard a rumor about it, but
yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway,
any of these,
so I will. All I'll say is you know the
any of these mugs that are this kind of print on this kind of like matte material, if you put them in the dishwasher and you touch this logo before it has time to cool off, you're gonna smudge it. That's why.
Oh, maybe that's what happened. Yeah. I will say this is my I've shown this before, but this is my go-to guitar pick, this Honey Picks Honey Jar with the grip. So yeah, all I would say about it, I think the weirdest thing about it is because it went from there being one message that wasn't particularly specific, in my opinion, to a year later, a cease and desist letter, I think is the weirdest part of it, because the way so much of this business works is just communication, where all this guy had to do is say, hey guys, I'm back. I noticed you still have this message up on your video, but like, I'm really back in business. Do you mind taking it down? And we would have taken it down. That's all it took.
Yeah, right.
Like, really, like you pay. I mean, you probably, if the business is now legit, lawyer's probably on retainer. So I mean, spend your money. You got to spend that money because you already paid for the retainer, I guess. But yeah, I was just like, this is goofy. This is not the way to do business.
Yeah, it's really not.
And now it's a brand that we'll probably never talk about again.
Exactly. You're not even saying the name now.
But in happier news,
I
got to use this pedal finally, the spell book from David Ross. David Ross was in the chat earlier. This thing is really wild because it's like a synth fuzz at the same time. So when you're playing it, it's kind of like, I got to figure out how to use it in a musical, like I don't know how to use it with guitar yet.
Okay, I get you.
Which is
I
say that because.
Well, I was gonna say, I think with that one, you've got a little bit of you've got to play to that pedal instead of trying to make that pedal do what you want to do, because it's wild.
Yeah. But I will say that I used it on a video that I need to do some more work on, because I was working on it and then I stopped working on it. I was telling Ryan, like, I'm trying to put together like a bunch of vlogs from GearFest still.
Sure.
A bunch of like just 30, 45, 1 minute whatever segments together. But when I get home from work, or a lot of times at the end of the day, which is when I would have the time to do it, my brain is just fried, and I'm trying to like learn to like, so it's like I got to switch from doing a cerebral job all day to like learning video editing software. And I'm just like, I'm dumb. I don't what does this what does this crop tool do? And I'm like, it's cropping, but it's cropping in a way I don't understand. But anyway, I use this pedal just as the synthesizer. Because I watched in one of the demos where he has it plugged in, and he's just like got it on a setting, and he's racking the knobs to just shift the pitch. And I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. I could use that as like a background tone for this one video, because the video's this one portion of the video is a time lapse, so there's no audio. So I'm kind of generating like kind of a little soundtrack for it, and I use this as like the basic, like, I actually layered 2 of these on. I'm going to layer 2 of these, 2 tracks from the spell book, plus I think a guitar, drum, and bass track that I put together. But I got to figure out how it's all going to go together still.
Right.
I've recorded it though, which was cool. I felt really happy. Like, oh, I recorded a track.
Right. It's satisfying when you do it after putting it off
And
so long.
the thing is that that was the last thing I did like 10 days ago.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to go back to it and work on it anymore. But yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. Definitely David Ross in the chat, he says there's definitely a learning curve, and I agree. But it's a lot of fun. It's a really cool pedal.
So I haven't played that one, but I played the Winter Storm, and I'll tell you, moving from the Winter Storm, which, and I say this as lovingly as I can, it's kind of just a light, tame overdrive. It doesn't get too crazy, doesn't get too wild. Steve just left the chat; he'll be back here in a second. But going to the spell book is all the things that it's not. It's a wild departure, a shift from one to the other. So now. Oh, dang it. I was about to take over. I was about to transition totally into trash talk and 60 cycle hum. No, I'm kidding. So, yeah, well, I was just saying,
my computer
Steve,
just keeps wanting to go to sleep.
Oh, weird. So do you have, I can offer a suggestion possibly why, but the move from the Winter Storm to the spell book, that's a very different, they're just completely opposite ended pedals.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Do I have a new pedal? I do. I bought a used pedal a couple of weeks ago. That's not worth talking about. I will talk about this one though. So I'm going to share this screen. Oh, it's called Present in this. Let me share screen. Don't show that tip again. There we go. All right. So Steve has to allow it because he can't be in charge of things. So check this out. So my buddy Eric Brania over at Brania Effects released a new pedal today. So those of you that don't know about Brania Effects, you ought to. Eric makes, he loves germanium. He works with germanium transistors to make all sorts of fuzzes and noisy dirt boxes. And he does like small batch runs of stuff because obviously germanium is hard to come by. And so he'll release like 4 to 8 pedals at any given time. So he did another run of the Super Fuzz. And it is so rad. I missed out on his first run of 4, so he did a new run of 4. So I jumped on this one. It's $230 germanium transistor fuzz. He's only got one left. He released these an hour and a half ago. So he's only got one left.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's moving fast.
They are moving fast. They're real cool. Like I said, he does limited runs of stuff. I have one of his GE boosters as well. I didn't get one of these Cobtech T7s, but yeah, it's real cool. I have one of these though. That's his. I might have that one.
What is?
Oh, it switched. It switched. That is a treble booster with a selector for like highs, mids, and lows. And it's like designed old school Roger Mayer style to sit on top of your amp and just be on.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's rad. I highly recommend people check out Brania Effects. I needed to do a shout out here. We'll stop that share though.
Very cool. Yeah. Otherwise, I feel like it's been a slow. Is there anything in like the actual gear business going on? I don't feel like there is.
I don't feel like I've caught any new releases, anything really crazy. I mean, obviously the new colors of the Paranormal series,
right?
That are apparently Fender website only. Buying from Fender is the only way to get the special colors. So Fender's now kind of breaching in on this. Like, we don't need dealers. I mean, they still have dealers, but
yeah,
they're doing a lot through their website. Well, now they're saving specialty colors that only come from their website.
Yeah. I told my wife that I was going to buy her the shell pink one. And then she said, well, one, I don't play bass. And then she said, two, she still prefers the 4-screen. So,
Well,
but I'm actually not planning on buying anything. Sean Pierce Johnson says Fender brought back the Noir series. I'm not familiar with the Fender Noir series. Let's see what that is.
Noir. Come on.
Noir.
Noir. It's all black. They just brought everything back murdered out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like,
it's in Europe for 1,400 euros. When I go to the website, it gives me some pop-up about switching to the US site, but I'm not going to. So that's cool. All black with red trim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I've never seen these before. So I was not aware of them at all.
I saw them. I didn't get super excited about them. So,
apparently they ran originally in 2020. Ian says there was a Vintera 2 leak.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, they're apparently. I mean, Fender only does runs for a couple of years, and then there's the 2, like the professional 2. The Vintera 2 series, I believe all of the models that had Laurel fretboards are going to have rosewood again.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Guitarbomb.com has it. Yep. Vintera 2 series is back with rosewood fretboards. There are new 70s Mustang bass, Jag, and Bass 6 models. And then there's a screenshot of some things, and this kind of just all looks like things that already exist, but apparently with updated specifications. So
I'm with Sean on this one. Like, okay, awesome. We have more of the same models you've been making for 60 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's not even that. It's just like the Vintera to the Vintera 2. It's not even that it's like the same models. It's like, okay, it looks like the only change is like I'm looking at the Vintera 7.2 Mustang bass, and I swear to God, I saw this exact same thing at Sweetwater like a month ago. It was probably like the player. No, it wasn't the player Mustang, because the player Mustang is the PJ config. This is the Tic Tac pickups, but otherwise it's kind of, it's whatever.
I just don't get excited about most. That's why I got so excited about the Rascal, right?
Yeah.
This thing's different. It's new. And that's why I was so excited about it. Now it's available in shell pink, and I feel like I need one in every color. I don't have a problem. You have a problem.
Mark says that there's new Burns reissues, but I don't know which ones they are. They might be the ones. I'm looking at their website, and they're just showing the stuff that was unveiled, I think, at either last year or at this year's NAMM, but maybe they're actually released now and not just being talked about. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get excited about them. Like, I didn't get excited about the new PRS guitars either. I didn't really get excited out of Gearfest. The Benson Echo Rec is almost the only thing I got excited about out of NAMM. I think I'm burned out. I think I'm
that's fair. I still, I go back and forth with the PRS, the NF53.
Yeah.
And I like conceptually the NF53 and the Miles Kennedy. Everything is this kind of like dog hair finish, which I understand why they did it, but I think part of what, in addition to the being backed by John Mayer and everything else, I think part of what really worked for the Silver Sky was just being available in some like very basic colors. Whereas the NF53, the only basic color is just black. The Miles Kennedy, I think the only basic color is the Hunter Green. And I think that's. I don't know that there's any other. I don't know what other colors it's in. I think they're all just like kind of the. Dog hair is like not the fanciest finish ever, but I'm calling it a fancy finish.
What you can, and I'm going to show you why you can. I'm going to share this because this is immediately what I thought of when I saw the new PRS.
I guess they did an alpine white.
Yeah.
Alpine white, black, and hunter green, in addition to sunburst and a butterscotch or antique natural. That's what they're calling it.
Right.
The NF53 looks like only okay, black, and then black dog hair, the blue Mateo, sunburst, and then white dog hair. Joe says any guitar release isn't blue. So there is a blue NF53.
Yeah.
And was there a blue Miles Kennedy? I already forgot.
Tell you what, click over, share the screen for me.
All right, here we go. Here's our dog hair NF53.
Correct. So that's the dog hair NF53.
Okay.
So the moment I saw this guitar, I immediately thought, oh, I know another company that does a dog hair finish. Stop sharing, and we'll share this screen. I wish there were a more efficient way to do this, but there's another company that does a dog hair. That's a Collings.
Oh, okay. I mean,
when you say fancy, it's not a fancy finish. Collings is one of like the highest end guitars I know, and I feel like they sort of went after that direction.
Dog hair. I've just heard dog hair is like a tricky finish to do right.
Yeah.
When I think of it as being a fancy finish, and I don't remember who the brand is that was doing a bunch of dog hair a few years ago. It looks like PRS has done them before. I think you just point out Collings. Yeah, I don't remember who it was I'm thinking of. I mean, Anderson's done a green black dog hair. That's interesting, I guess.
That's really interesting. Sean, just as a comment.
Oh, Jennings Guitars is the one that was going like crazy, like with dog hair.
Yeah, I remember.
That's the one I'm thinking of from a few years ago. And then Ugly and the Ladies Man, B.A. Ferguson is another great brand. I mean, there's a lot of options there. I just like I said, I think part of what worked for the Silver Sky is it was a Strat-like guitar that was available in all of your Strat your Strat colors, and maybe they should. I don't know. I don't know that it really matters. Maybe it's just my head.
Yeah, and like Snarky, I've grown to like. I actually at this point I sort of like PRS guitars, but I don't like the NF53. I really don't. I've tried to let it grow on me and not be like immediately kind of I don't know, it gut reaction like my normal self to it. But that's where I am. I'm just not digging it at all.
Yeah, we got Kyle Benton over on the Facebook. That's who Facebook user is.
Gotcha. Okay. So Kyle, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I'm not super into it. I'm not super into most new releases. I'm kind of like with Fenders. I mean, we know who I am. There's no secret to my preferred guitars. But
Gibson,
and Novo.
Gibson, Novo.
Yeah, but I like Fender, but I don't get really excited about another Strat. I don't get excited about another Telly. To be honest, I'm the same way with Gibson though. I'm not excited about another Les Paul model. I'm not excited about another 335 model. I like what I like. Like I like a Strat. I like a Telecaster. I like a Jazzmaster. I don't need to see 15 umpteen new versions. Now the new Tom DeLonge is going to be interesting. That's coming out.
Is it interesting?
I mean, I think the price point was interesting for me. It was cheaper than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Going back, Hugh says dog hair is actually easy. It's just a colored green filler. So
Oh,
I don't
well
know. Apparently it is.
then. Well then.
I've just never done it. I don't see it a lot, so I guess maybe I thought it was harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't care about the Tom DeLonge.
Kyle, the Esquire conversion, I'm waiting on a new wiring harness. He mentioned it. So Tom DeLonge, going back to that. Sorry, my ADHD.
No, you're fine. I looked it up, and the first result, like, there's no limited edition Tom DeLonge. Is this the new one coming soon?
Yeah.
In 2 days, sign up to win for a chance to win. I don't know. I see a lot of people excited about this.
Yeah.
It
I
sounds
don't care that much.
it's heavily because I think Sweetwater had like, if you pre-ordered it and then you looked at your order, it would show you what the price was.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they're coming in at, was it 13 or 1400? I forget. Which means it's, I guess like it's I just can't be bought. I don't know. The only thing that means to me is that it's going to normalize maybe the used market.
We'll see.
A
It
bit.
depends on what it actually is. We don't even know what it is. Like completely.
Do we not think it's just a strict? Is it not what he's showing?
They may do something else. I
Okay.
don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Joe, I'm gonna go back to this real quick though. The Slash marketing. I agree. I'm not like the biggest Slash fan on the planet. I like Guns N' Roses, but apparently, as I've been explained to be by some people in marketing, those Slash guitars sell out immediately every single time because apparently Slash has this extreme Central and South American fandom, and they sell out in South America is where those guitars are going. So Gibson's just doing what makes them money because they've got to make money.
Instant Charlie says, "Hate to be this way, but nearly any Fender Tom DeLonge is just an overpriced parts caster. Just built." I mean, I think when the original run came out, 20 years ago, and it was something that Fender had like never really, or at least hadn't done in a long time.
Yeah.
Hardtail, Seymour Duncan Invader pickup, a volume knob, and I think they were originally like $500 for the MIM. There was a Squire version that was even cheaper, and you had these 3 tiers. And I guess like, there's inflation, there's everything else that's gone on, but now the expectation, I guess, is you've got the Steve Lacy Strat coming in at $1,400. This Tom DeLonge, I think, is going to come in. They think it's coming in a little bit under that.
I heard 13 is the price point.
Yeah, so like $100 cheaper, which, I mean, it doesn't have a trim, so it should be cheaper, I guess. But that solidly means that if that is the price point, it's going to be the Mexican model of it. I guess that's what it's worth. But and the thing is I'm looking at Tom DeLonge Strats on Reverb, and the prices are everywhere from, the lowest one I'm seeing is like $950.
Okay.
For the Fender version, not I've seen some of the Squire ones like around like anywhere as low as $275 for the Squire version. And again, the Mexican ones, and then the American ones are like over 2,000, which originally the American ones I think were around like $1,000. Which is like, again, some of that's the inflation, but to Instant Charlie's point here, I kind of just feel like just build your own. Just go buy a Player Plus Stratocaster, slap a humbucker in it, just put 5 springs on the trim, screw it all the way down. Congratulations, you've got a hardtail.
What? I mean, just buy a hardtail Strat. They still make them. They're
Do
out.
they still make them?
Yeah, the Robert Cray signature is a hardtail Strat.
Let's see, hardtail Stratocaster. You can buy if I could spell Stratocaster at all. All I'm coming up with on Reverb is the vintage ones, unfortunately. There was a Fender Mod Shop Strat actually made right now for $1,300, and that's got 2 pickups in it, so it's worth more, I guess. I don't know.
The Robert Cray signature is a rosewood fretboard hardtail Strat that right now is still available for $1,150 brand new. You can buy them.
Wow.
You can buy them as cheap as $835 used.
Yeah. So I think part of it too is I'm burning out on early mid 2000s like pop punk emo nostalgia. Like I'm kind of I think I'm burned out more on the bands that like went away for, 10 years and now they're like coming back. So for me it's like it's hard to get excited about Tom DeLonge when he's just kind of been doing his own thing,
Right.
I don't know.
I'm at a point now where I think I get more excited about, like, for example, the Rascal Bass, but I get more excited about seeing what other companies are doing that are different, that's interesting. For example, I'm going to just talk about expensive guitars here, but it's just from a design perspective. I've actually come around to the Frank Brothers, the arcade body style, it's very but like they just released something that I was like, oh, that's not as interesting as the thing you already had. So I'm like, I want to see people do completely different things.
What's their new one? The arcade has been out for a while.
Yeah, that's their main one. I don't remember what they call in the new one.
The Radar.
That's it, the Radar.
Okay, it's kind of pointy SG.
Yeah, a little. It looks like an SG and a Mustang had a baby.
Yeah. It'll grow on you, or it won't.
Or it won't.
I don't know. Oh, jeez. Sorry. Yeah, I'm getting actual news updates and I'm trying to ignore them.
Yeah.
They're about things that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to talk about it.
Because I've been seeing just like there are things that all I want to do is troll. I don't actually have a strong opinion anymore.
Yeah.
I don't pick one. I'm taking the third rail, and that third rail is everybody is dumb.
Awesome.
So
I tell you what, let's a lot of people talk about guitar players that get signatures that shouldn't, or they talk about those guitar players that should have a signature and don't have one. We've talked about that before. For example, you and I both agree that Julian Baker needs
yeah.
How about this one? Guitar players that don't have a current signature and you hope they never get one.
What? Any of the guys in this is harsh because I've only heard like one song from this artist, but I'm gonna say any of the guys in Greta Van Fleet.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I still have problems with, and I don't know how much of it's just locked into my head. Now, that anytime I actually heard Greta Van Fleet on the radio, which was really weird because one, I was listening to the radio, which I almost never do, and two, that it was Greta Van Fleet. It was a new song from them on the radio. And the song, I don't know what it's called, but it's new. I think it's Meeting the Master.
Okay,
that's their recent-ish. Yeah, it was released April 7th, so it's getting some airplay. on the radio here in Southern California. How many times can I say on the radio?
Like a pop station. That's or not pop, but like a normal rock station, not like underground or college radio station.
But that song
station.
that song I feel like had kind of like settled into the space of what I always is always like the stereotype of Greta Van Fleet. I know they have a lot of fans. They have a lot of fans for bringing guitar back and whatever.
Yeah.
But like, if you told me that that song was like a lost Zeppelin track, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. I would not. I don't think I would question it.
Yeah, I hate to hate on them. They obviously have talent.
Yeah. I do think is it the singer's Josh Kishka? Yeah, Josh Kishka. I think he does have a little bit of a different thing going on from Plant, but it's definitely like his vocal style overall is very entrenched. Yeah, at least on that song, I felt like it was more like kind of like a Plant Mercury cross happening. Is just like a little cleaner than Plant. But the music overall, like everything about it is like maybe they're not a straight Zeppelin tribute band, but they're definitely like a 70s tribute band.
Yeah. See, I really wish we could have heard what they could have become if somebody didn't hear them and think, yeah, y'all sound like Zeppelin, we should put you out. And instead somebody was like, yeah, y'all have some talent. Let me help you find a voice.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway.
If somebody did that though, they probably just would have been like they would have ended up being the 2020s Black Crowes.
That's true. That's true. That's all that they would have just be because that's how Black Crowes are how I went backwards and got into Zeppelin. So
yeah. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but it is what it is. I have been thinking about your question. Yeah, we were talking about Greta Van Fleet, but I'm going to stop talking about them.
Right.
I have been thinking about the question that you ask on your Patreon to all of your episodes, and I'm not going to do the full thing.
Oh, you should. So listeners, watchers, I'll tell you exactly what the question is. So I've been asking this question on the Patreon episodes of my podcast. I need you to give me 5 perfect albums. And there's some caveats to that. A perfect album. The definitions. Here is the definition as per our use.
No skips.
No skips. You cannot skip anything. Period. Yeah, it's an album that you enjoy listening front to back in order. And number 2, there has to be at least one perfect song.
So again, I'm just going to offer one.
Okay.
I don't want to do the full thing. Maybe I'll do the full thing at some point in the future.
Yeah, we'll have you on the podcast. And watch this album not be on there.
No, because this is the album I've been listening to a lot.
Okay.
This year so far. This is a new album released September 2022. Is the Beth's Expert in a Dying Field. I think that might be a perfect album.
Oh, yeah.
And the perfect song I would pick from that is the song I Told You That I Was Afraid, which is the second to last song on it. The album itself is just really interesting. It's their newest album, newest of 3. I've just got into this band pretty recently, like this year. But they're one of these bands that you listen to these songs, and if you just grab any kind of single song and you listen to like 90% of it, you're like, oh, this is kind of a 90s jangle pop kind of a thing. Like it's just jangly, whatever. Which is actually kind of funny because I think their guitar player, their electric guitar player, that's not the singer. Jonathan Pierce, I think is his name.
Oh man, you're doing better than me.
Jonathan Pierce. He primarily plays like a Les Paul Deluxe. Gold top.
I like him already.
Their vocalist, she plays at least has been playing, I think it's the GNL Fallout. Is that the model or is it the Doheny? I always get them confused. No, I think she plays a Fallout, the GNL Fallout. which is kind of their like offset-ish looking guitar. And so for these tracks, you just grab them, and most of the song is kind of this jingle pop, like chords, like maybe little riffs and stuff, and then kind of out of nowhere, they'll just drop a guitar solo in there for like 4 measures, like very short, very compact, ton of notes.
And anti guitar player take, I really enjoy the like 2 or 4, even up to 8 bar solos. You're like there and then you're out.
Yeah, it's just in and out, and you're sitting there going like, this has, when I first like listened and it really like hit me for the song. This is why I picked the song. I told you that I was afraid. There's actually like maybe a 2-bar riff in it early in the song where you're like, huh, where did that come from? And then there's an actual like solo later in the song that like starts off conventional pentatonic and then just gets very dissonant, and it's like turns into like just a noise solo, but it's a noise, like a lot of dissonance going on, but the song itself isn't it's not like, they don't make like wall of sound music really.
Okay, because
Right.
I feel like so much stuff now is just wall of sound.
So think like, the solos that Jonathan Pierce plays a lot of times remind me of like Dinosaur Jr. If he was just sticking to like some like a fuzz pedals with balls and not big muffs.
Right.
Where like there's a lot more mid forward, but they're the kind of like the second solo in that song, when I first heard it and really heard it, not just like was listening. Was it you don't listen, you hear, or you, instead of whatever they say, like, but where I was actually paying attention to it, I had this moment where I was like, wait, what the fuck just happened?
Right.
And I had to like back up and be like, I need to hear this again, because it just comes out of nowhere. And then I started listening to a lot of the what's going on with the guitars in the background, and um and there's little things like this, like 1 or 2 bars, again, like 4 bar kind of in the background, where I'm like, no, like there's like the guitar's just like taking off here. It's just screwy. So so that's, I don't know, that's an album that I feel like that's probably going to be my most listened to album, I think, of the year right now.
Oh, that's saying a lot. I'm going to listen to it as soon as we're done recording here.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I was listening to I'm trying to pull up the artist here real fast so that I can say who it is. Oh, there it is. There's an artist named Corey Hansen, and I don't know if everybody's into him. I just discovered him literally 2 days ago. Go to Artist Radio. He has a new album, which I won't even say the name of because I don't. Yeah, I'll text it to you, Steve, and you'll see why. I'm not gonna say it out loud. It's actually not that bad, y'all. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, but I'm just not gonna say it. So, not on a live stream. It's not gonna happen. So yeah, I had a similar experience listening to his album, when like I was listening to a track and just all of a sudden I had this whole moment of what just happened.
Yeah.
What is this? Yeah, so I get it. I'm gonna check that out. I think the Beths were also on former President Barack Obama put out a list of like albums of the year.
Yeah, the song "Watching the Credits" is apparently on his current Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, so months ago, before any of the openers were announced, we bought tickets. My wife bought tickets for Death Cab at the Hollywood Bowl in October.
Yeah.
And I don't know when they announced the openers, but the Beths will be opening on one of the 3 dates that we're not going to.
Oh,
The opener for the one, I mean, I'm not going to complain about the opener for the night we are going, because that opener is Iron and Wine, so that's going to be a good one.
That's gonna be a really
The other opener, so they have 3 different openers for each night. They're doing the Hollywood Bowl, and the other opener is Built to Spill. So it's kind of funny because Built to Spill and Iron and Wine are 2 acts that are very much, I think, entwined with Death Cab, the era that they got popular in, the early 2000s, early mid 2000s.
I gotta admit, Death Cab. I missed Death Cab. I missed the whole thing.
So this show's did you ever listen to the Postal Service?
Yes.
So this is a Postal Service Death Cab combo, which is kind of weird. It's going to be 3 straight hours of Ben Gibbard, pretty much. But yeah, there's a lot of recommendations in here. I can't tell any of the folks in the live stream in the chat what the perfect albums are. I mean, we're talking Sassy's got the whole list. Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, Thriller, Beggar's Banquet, and Exile on Main Street.
I'm with you on a few of those, Sassy. I'll tell you the one that's gonna really throw you though. I don't think Thriller's a perfect album.
That one's been recommended by a few people in the chat.
I think it's a great album, and I think it sold a lot of records.
What's your skip?
So if I pull up the track listing, this is the thing. I don't think Michael Jackson has a perfect album. To me, he's always got a filler track or two that just don't hold up to the rest of the album. I think Thriller is very front loaded. Like the first 6 on Thriller are incredible, but 7, 8, and 9 are. I could just end the album after Billie Jean. That's just how I feel about it.
No Pretty Young thing for you, huh?
No, I just they're all just kind of filler to me. I love Michael Jackson, and like if you could put together a couple of his albums, you could make a cohesive, perfect album. I think,
right? A perfect playlist.
Yeah, a perfect playlist, exactly. So I want to go back through a couple of these, though. I'm going to back up. First of all, I have to comment on this real quick. Snarky, yes. People always compare Greta Van Fleet to Zeppelin as if it's a bad thing. Not because Zeppelin wasn't great. It's because they need to have their own voice. Right now, they're a tribute act. Let me see. Scientific Uppercut said this is a live high fidelity episode. Yes, and thank you for referencing high fidelity. It's an incredible book. It made a good movie. Let's see. David, Chris Whitley, Living with the Law. I'm not familiar with that album, so I can't argue with you. Snarky said Zepp 2 is a great album. Zepp 2 is so this is where it's really important to differentiate something when I ask this of my guests. So they, the question is, what are the perfect albums? That doesn't mean they're your favorite. Zeppelin 2 is my favorite Zeppelin album. It is not a perfect album. 4 is a perfect album, and it is not my favorite.
So yeah, I think that's I'm looking at the track listings for these. I can definitely say Led Zeppelin 2. Like for me, I've only listened through it once. No, I've listened through it a couple times. And I feel like after a couple times, like I could probably never hear the Lemon Song ever again and be fine. That's just not a thing I really want to hear about.
It's fine. It's a song. It's and it's not bad. But like, don't get me wrong, 2 is real close to a perfect album, in my opinion. But
was it Robert Baker had some pretty good choices.
He did. He pulled out a few that surprised me. But it's really great. Um, it's really great to hear. Like so far, I've asked the question of 3 different guests, and it's going to be a continuing thing until the bit gets old to me, basically.
Right.
Um, right now we've had Alex from Copper Sound, we've
Mm-hmm.
had Zach from Mythos, and we've had Robert Baker, and it's been very, very different lists. Very different lists. And my list, of course, is all over the map too. So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun. I think it's a fun exercise to have because when you're saying perfect album, rather than saying favorite or rather
Right.
than saying best, when you say perfect album, you're not saying that an imperfect album isn't good. For
Mm-hmm.
example, my favorite Zeppelin album is not a perfect album. Um,
Right.
do I listen to Lemon Song every time I listen to two? Yes, because I listen to albums front to back. That's just how I listen to music. But um, it isn't making a competition. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're just saying this is a to me, this is like peak quality of music. It's not that the other stuff isn't good. That's why I like that
Yeah. Yeah.
question better.
I think it's hard too. Like, so early Jimmy World albums. So Clarity
Hmm.
is, in my opinion, is one of two options for their best album. But I know a lot of people really it's this was they reduced them over time, but a lot of people don't like I'm trying to remember the guitar player. Is it Tom Lind? I think it's Tom Lind. Yeah, Tom Linton. That's his name. Tom Linton is the other guitar player on
Right.
their previous on Static Prevails. He's like him and Jim Adkins split vocals like pretty like 60-40 or 50-50 or something. And I think on Clarity, he only has like one or two tracks, but I know a lot of people who skip the Tom Linton tracks.
Oh,
I
interesting.
don't necessarily agree with those people.
Right.
Um,
And that's the
but
other thing. This whole concept's very personal.
yeah.
It is a little personal because there's no hard quantifiers here. Um, Sassy, I will make an executive decision on this. Compilation albums aren't perfect albums. They could be if that had been the original intent. Like
Mm,
you put together a perfect compilation. Maybe it's like you made the best mixtape.
yeah.
Uh, anyway, so yeah, it's really it's a difficult thing to do, but it's also a very personal thing to do to say because, for example, I in doing this discovered that my perfect songs tend to be melancholic and retrospective. Like that's
Mm,
always
mhm.
the thing that is perfect songs to me, things that depress me.
How much when you listen to albums, how much are you affected by track order?
It depends on the artist, right? I know that, like, okay, for example, I tell this story all the time. That when later, David, when I was sitting around once in a music store with a buddy of mine. It's a guy bassist that I knew, and he happened to come in. We were just sitting around playing gear, and we start jamming on songs, right? And we
Hmm.
played AC/DC's Back in Black, and which is one of my favorite albums of all time. Um,
Hmm.
but so I'm playing the playing the we're playing Back in Black. We play the song, not the album, and get to the end of Back in Black, and I immediately went into "Shook Me All Night Long."
Hmm.
Like, didn't think about it because that's how it goes in my head. Like that album, I think Zeppelin albums, some artists, the track order is the story. You're meant to listen to it in this order.
Right, right.
Yes, look, you gotta have a qualifier here sometime, right? I think easily Eagles' Greatest Hits is their second best album of all time, but it's a compilation, whereas Hotel California is a perfect album.
Right.
It is an absolutely perfect album.
I'm definitely on this train.
Yes.
Snarky K track order can make or break. And the biggest example, the time that when I realized this was actually like 20 years ago. Jesus. um, Actually maybe not quite 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago.
Close enough.
The very critically acclaimed, I think, debut album, maybe possibly one of, I would say, like the best opening 3 singles of maybe any rock band in the last 20 years.
Right.
Is that too much? I'm saying words that I haven't really thought about. The were the first 3 singles. Jesus, what a debut. This is wild. And that's is why people really, I think, revere this album. So much buildup, and it's just gonna be a
I know.
letdown
Like, well, if
when
I'm
I say it.
like, what are you talking about?
And you could even go the first 4 singles, Jesus. But definitely the first I think 3
Oh,
singles, the first
oh
2
my gosh!
singles
Don't bore us. Get to the chorus.
uh is The Killer's Hot Fuss.
Oh,
The
okay.
first 3 singles off of that, 2 of which they are still getting regular airplay. Mr. Brightside, Somebody Told Me, and All These Things That I've Done. And then the fourth single from that album was Smile Like You Mean It. That album has the strongest first half of maybe like any album ever. Because the first half of that, the opener, Jenny Was a Friend of Mine, is a solid song. I think I've talked about this before.
Uh-huh.
Um, Mr. Brightside, which everybody knows, and you either love or hate that song. Smile Like You Mean It, which again was the fourth single. Somebody Told Me, which was the second single, and All These Things that I've Done, which is a rock anthem.
Yeah.
They blew their load in the first 5 tracks. The second half of that album sucks.
Is it that bad? Because I was
It's
gonna say
just like
it's got a strong bid for the second best first 5 tracks of an album.
I
Like
just
nothing will beat the first half of Thriller.
sure. Yeah.
Or first 6
Well,
of
that's why I said like at least the last 20 years
Yeah.
rock albums. All These Things That I Have Done is just like it's a rock anthem, and to put that in the middle of an album, you
Well,
can't follow it up. And so you get so big, so high, this massive climax of a song, and then the next song is weak.
it ruined it for the rest of the
And the thing that I realized with this is I own this on CD. That's how long ago it came out. Is that when I played this album on shuffle, I could basically coin flip my way to a better track order than what they
album. Oh,
picked
wow.
for this album. And I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. When the shuffle is better than what the producers put together, that's a problem.
Well, I think it's so I feel like this was a major thing like in the late 60s into the 70s track order.
Mhm.
Then we had like the real rise of the single and dance music, and it wasn't as big a deal to have this storytelling art. And I feel like bands in the late 90s really understood track order, and
Mhm.
then it disappeared in the
Yeah, I
80s
can see that.
and downloads.
And I think it's maybe coming back a little bit.
Oh, I think the album in general is coming back.
I think the album. I think part of it is the way that digital downloads impact things now,
Mhm.
and how. Trying to think of how to put this. I don't like the way that digital downloads impact the Billboard charts right now. It's really odd. I think it's kind of frustrating to me actually. Um, when your entire when you can release an album, and there's only a handful of artists who have done this.
Uh-huh.
When you can release an album and the entire top 10 is just your album.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No,
I
I don't like the way the chart system works now at all.
um I think it was like a few years ago. Like J. Cole did that a few years ago. Taylor Swift did that when she released Midnight's. The top 14 was the top 14 on the Billboard Hot 100. I think was just the 14 tracks from, or the first 14 tracks of Midnight's. So like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah, well, that's it, because people, a new album drops. Like, we'll use Taylor Swift as an example. Taylor Swift drops a new album. The first week is going to be nothing but people streaming the entire album.
Yeah.
And so the entire album is going to be listed in the top 10, probably 1 through 10 in track order.
I do think that because people have artists like that they are obsessive with, where they listen to the entire album like that, and it's young people, it's Gen Z, it's the Zoomers who are doing this with these artists. I think that's good. And that's a thing, we're talking about the album coming back. I think that's what, despite the fact that I hate the fact that like this can happen with the charts. I think it's good for the industry as a whole.
Well, yeah, it's one of the things that, to be honest, some modern artists that maybe we as guitar players don't give enough credit are really bringing to the forefront. Taylor Swift puts together a phenomenal album. Adele, who is the person who finally got Spotify to change the default play button from shuffle to keep it in order. Adele puts out great albums. I think we're seeing a lot of it coming back, and so all of the rising artists coming up are starting to figure it out. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of that TikTok influence and just getting a quick hit on TikTok. So there's a whole bunch of that. I like the pause first both ways. I think as a whole, we're moving back towards storytelling over the course of multiple songs rather than a 30-second chorus. The people who really, I don't know, maybe it's because of my studies in college, where I got used to listening to very long pieces and multiple movements. That I really appreciate storytelling over the long term, much more than I like, give me 4 lines of, text to a dance beat.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Billboard Hot 100 right now.
I pulled it up too when you were talking about it.
I've heard some of these songs.
I've heard of some of these people.
It's throwing me off that Miley Cyrus's Flowers is still in the top 10.
Yeah,
that's wild.
It's number 6 down from number 5. I haven't heard of some of these people. I'm so out of the loop of anyone on the top in the Hot 100.
I haven't heard this Morgan Wallen track, Luke Combs' Fast Car. Here, let's I'm talking about it, I'm gonna throw it up.
Just share it. Yeah.
I haven't heard this song. I actively try to avoid Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
Luke Combs' Fast Car, kind of mixed. I don't think this song needs to exist, but I think when I take a step back, oh, my brain just broke. Tracy Chapman. I kept wanting to say Tracy Morgan. Tracy Chapman's making a lot of money and getting a lot of recognition.
I'm pumped
for this. This song I've heard. I didn't realize it hit number 1. It's weird. I'm really interested to see how Olivia Rodrigo's Vampire fits in on whenever the new album comes out.
I've not listened to it, and I've actively avoided it because I want to wait until I hear the album.
Yeah. Calm Down, I haven't heard.
Nope.
This is the Vault. I Can See You. I think I've heard it, but I don't. Okay. Again, I don't register it. Flowers, You Can't Escape. I have not heard this song. Fuck You Mean, I believe is the pronunciation of that.
I'm sure that is.
But this is, probably a hip hop rap song.
That's a very serious rapper name.
Yeah, all my life haven't heard. Cruel Summer, not the Bananarama song. But interestingly, the interesting thing about Cruel Summer is this is, there's a lot of like conversation going on in the chat about it, but the reality is this is Taylor Swift's planet and we all just live in it.
That's true.
Cruel Summer is a track from an album that Taylor Swift released, I think 4 years ago.
Wow.
Let's see. Yeah. Album discography. Lover was released in 2019. And for whatever reason, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. The song Cruel Summer was not released as a single. I think it became a fan favorite. So she released in the middle of the tour, or she announced in the middle of the tour, like, oh, by the way, like you guys love Cruel Summer so much, so I'm going to release it as a single. Like, who does that? Hey guys, here's a song that I wrote 4 years ago, but I decided that even though it was like a deep cut, you guys like it so much that we're going to promote it as a single. And so now you turn on the radio and they're playing a 4-year-old Taylor Swift song as a new song. It's weird.
That's all a single means today too, by the way. It's a promoted song because you released the whole album already.
Yeah. Karma, again, Taylor Swift. So 3 songs in the top 10 right now. You got followed by 2 SZA songs. Kill Bill, I know. This new one I have not heard. As we go down, we're hitting more things that I don't know. But here we go. This is what I'm talking about with this
multiple songs
artist. Mine was a single. Back to December was a single, and now they are charting again because of the release of Taylor's version of this album. Jelly Roll, I'm not sure if he's rap or country with this track, but I know it exists. Here's 2 more Taylor Swift tracks in the top 20. Another one at 22. Is this just Taylor Swift watch? Maybe.
Keep going. It keeps going.
Dear John. So if you forgot who John Mayer is, here's your reminder. Cupid, which is a TikTok song primarily. Going down, another Morgan Wallen track. The Dua Lipa Barbie soundtrack song apparently peaked at 29, but I feel like I can't escape it, so I don't know if I believe that. There's some other, again, Jesus, this whole top 40 is just packed full of
Taylor Swift.
Was it Fearless? Was that the album that came out, I think?
I don't know.
Or was it the other one? I don't know.
I'm real bad at album title. It's big anyway.
Another Morgan Wallen. I mean, I think to me the part of this is that it says something about like how music sits in general, and this is why when I hear a few months ago there was this campaign, and we'll see what it looks like next week. We'll see what this. Well, we won't. I'm not going to look next week, but I'm going to transition into a thing I didn't want to talk about eventually. I'm going to say a couple things. There's one, charts are weird. I don't know. I think our musical landscape. One thing to take away from this chart is that our musical landscape maybe lacks competition. But within that, timing a track is extremely important. The timing of your release, as far as chart performance goes.
Yeah.
As far as overall performance, if you released a song and it got to number 6 on the Billboard charts and the top 5 were all Taylor Swift songs, I don't think I would complain. No one should complain about that. Nope. You finished 6th to the biggest artist of the last 20 years or so, probably longer. The question that I have that's been brought up is Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice sampled heavily Aqua's Barbie World for their track Barbie World. It hit number 7. Does that mean Aqua is no longer a one-hit wonder, or does it not count when your 2 hits are the same song?
Yeah, I don't think it counts if your 2 hits are in the same song. But also, it's not number 1 yet. It's not a hit yet.
No, a hit just means that if you're in the top 40, it's a hit. That is the
Oh, is that the
textbook.
definition? Is it top 40?
That is my personal. That is a general recognition of something
Okay.
being a one-hit wonder. Uh, and I'll also note that in a search, the Jason Aldean song is not in the Billboard Hot 100, but I think it will be next week. Am somewhat interested in where it lands next week. But to that point, there are weird things in the charts. Um, it's a Mark says, I guess charts based on sales instead of streams means that more sections of society have an influence on the chart because you can only buy so many records. That's
Uh-huh.
that. So historically, I think it changed within the last 5 years,
Yep.
maybe a little longer, where streams started to impact the Billboard Hot 100. In the past, in order to be in the Billboard Hot 100, your song had to be released as a single. Which means all of these other Taylor Swifts here, like Last Kiss and Never Grow Up, and whatever else is going to come up here, and really anything other than, I think, I Can See You and Cruel Summer, none of the other Taylor Swift songs would be on here because none of them were released as singles. But now, so single sales, so the Billboard Hot 100 was made up of sales, single sales, and radio plays only.
Yes.
And then a few years ago, they changed that to include online streams. So YouTube plays, Spotify plays, Tidal plays, I guess, Apple downloads. I think Apple downloads may have been included earlier. I'm not really, because since they were sales, I'm not 100% sure about that. But that did change, and now you get this weird thing going on the charts. Um, and now you get these other weird blips in slow weeks, which is how, and then you can kind of tweak the charts however you want. Like one of the charts in here, I don't know if it's actually going to show up on this one.
It's actually little longer ago than you think, by the way. It was 2012.
2012. Wow. So I
2012.
don't think, oh, it is going to show. Let me see. Nope, it's gonna cut me off because I don't have a Billboard subscription.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there is a chart called Digital Song Sales. Um, a few months ago, and I'm gonna say this. I don't. This is just a weird blip. This is not a political statement, but I feel like I have to caveat it. A few months ago, there was a single release that was like Donald Trump and the MAGA choir, or I don't know what they called themselves, and they were like I think they were the number one digital song sale for the week that song was released.
Yep.
Um, and they came out and they said, and of course Donald Trump's statement, and I don't necessarily like, the reason I say this is I frame this as being apolitical, is it he did it, but I've seen lots of people do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is and I'm gonna look at see if I can find something real quick. Reggae chart where you can take apart a chart, and it's like Samuel Clemens said, in his day, there are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics, and the Billboard charts are a lot of fun for manipulating statistics. Can I see this chart? I don't know if it's going to show me this chart. Whatever. So yeah, he said like, oh, we beat Taylor Swift. Well, it's like, well, you beat Taylor Swift because she hasn't released a new digital song in 4 months.
Right.
So congratulations. Like if I released, well, no, not right now, but like, when that whole thing happened, when there was the Dua Lipa lawsuit for what song is it, Levitating, I think. She got sued by some reggae artist,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
they said like, well, we got to number one on the reggae chart. Well, the reggae chart's really small, and I think basically Bob Marley's Legend has been in the top 10 of the reggae chart since like 1986.
Yeah.
Like
there's not a lot of people putting out new reggae music moving the needle. I'm not saying there's not reggae artists out there, but there are.
It just doesn't really change, and that's How do I can I like view this in? Maybe I can find it this way. It's not even in one of the main charts. It's like buried.
Okay.
And Blues album is the same way. Like,
Yeah, look how buried that was. Yeah.
and I don't know. Rich White Honky Blues. When did this album come out? Is this a new album? Do you know?
That's not actually on the charts. That's not that album. I don't know. Like right now, oh my god, that is the number one blues
Yeah,
album.
this album came out in June
What the heck?
2022. And of course, again, because I'm not Billboard Pro and I have no interest in being a Billboard Pro,
Yeah, me either.
I cannot see the rest of it. Um,
That,
but
that's
that's
absurd.
reggae the current number one reggae album is Legend. Uh, it has been the number one album for 183 weeks. It has been on the chart for 184 weeks. Let's see, there's 52 weeks in a year, so that's like 3 straight years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long that chart has actually existed. But it was originally released in 1984, and it's it's a
Did it get a
classic reggae
re-release?
album.
Is that what happened? Did it
I
get a
don't
re-release?
I don't know, but part of it is just the fact that there are other albums that come out, and maybe they dethrone. Maybe they come close, but they're nothing is dethroning it somehow.
Yeah,
Um,
that's real weird.
Snarky brought up he says the more I hear about the whole Korean pop music scene, the more it sounds like serious crimes are being committed against the artists. I don't know what that I don't know what that's in reference to.
Yeah, I don't. I'd need to look into that.
But I guess I don't.
Oh, going back to Ian Johnston, Aqua had 3 UK number one hits, but they only ever had one hit in the US.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they were huge in the UK.
Yeah.
So
I would not be surprised. Well, the Korean pop music scene, the Japanese, what they call the J idol or whatever they call that whole thing.
Yeah.
Is it's a machine, and I don't know. I don't want to say like, oh, well, we just don't understand their culture. There's definitely a lot of cultural things going on that I will not claim to understand. Yeah. Whether or not there are crimes being committed against the artists, I don't really like look into that. So I just have no idea.
I'm so far outside that entire vibe. So
yeah.
I don't know. I don't get into I try to get into more new music, but I end up finding artists. So the thing about my new music that I get into is I end up finding an artist that's been out for 10 years that I just didn't know about. And that's my new music.
Yeah.
It happens to me all the time now.
My new music a few years ago was Pink Floyd's "Wish You Were Here." That was my new music for a couple of weeks.
Oh, come on, Steve. You have to do better. You have to do better.
All right. I want to. Okay. Are you if you had to go see a movie today, are you seeing Barbie or are you seeing Oppenheimer?
We're going this direction. We're gonna go here.
Are you seeing Barbie? Or are you seeing Oppenheimer?
Yeah, I'm probably seeing Oppenheimer.
Are you doing the combo?
Oh yeah, to do both in the same day. See which one depresses you more.
It's funny because I saw one commentary was like, do you see it as Barbenheimer or do you see it as Oppenby? But part of the take on it was that somebody I think said, well, so Joe says from Pedal Playhouse, it was recommended to see Barbie second, but they sorry, where's my brain going? That you should see Oppenheimer first because you should say, or you should see Barbie first because you should end your day on an upbeat note. that that the overall message of Barbie was just like extremely I don't know, there's a lot of perspectives on it. Um,
Wow.
I'm both surprised and not at all surprised at how political some of the reactions went. I will say uh, I have not watched it. A lot of people are, losing their minds because Ben Shapiro said that his producers dragged him to see Barbie, and then he released a 45-minute video on why Barbie was a bad movie, which is not surprising, I
No.
think, for Ben Shapiro to say. But he says his producers dragged him there, and as of this morning, I should say that he released this video yesterday, and I think it's wise for Ben Shapiro to trust his producers because his 42-minute and 45-second video on Barbie has 905,000 views.
Wow.
So trust your producers when they say, "Hey, you should go watch this movie," and then make a video about it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Snarky gave some more information, and he says they signed these young kids into contracts that are basically slavery, and the time doesn't count in the contract until they put something out. They also control all their actions, and certainly that is not good.
As
However,
as someone who has seen some of these contracts, when they try to sign someone I know, American contracts aren't much better.
yep. I don't know how the current I don't know the current state of contracts, but famously, this is basically every pop and rock contract of the 1990s
Yep, that's exactly right. And pop
was.
contracts into the 2000s.
And actually, if you really want to be depressed, go read about JoJo or listen to her talk about her contract stuff. Go uh go listen to the new Kesha album. Go read up on her conflict with Dr. Luke and basically the fact that she accused her producer of, depending on which version you see, it's as light as emotional abuse, as high as sexual abuse, and possibly more against her producer. But because she had a record contract that with that record producer's contract company, she was forced to continue to work with him. And finally, um, with her most recent album, they allowed her to work with Rick Rubin, but she's still putting out albums on Dr. Luke's label. So yeah, the U.S. record industry, the American record industry, is not great. Maybe this is worse. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like the track record for the record industry and controlling people. And again, Snarky says strict diets; those contracts are bad. 7 years, say, but it doesn't start until you put something out, which may be 6 years. Yeah, but I think so. What I'll say is, I think most bands, at least, again, thinking about the 90s, they're going to sign that contract. They've already maybe recorded some demos. So they have, so because you're a band, you're creating your own stuff. You already have a contract. Like I would say, like, I don't think probably the American record industry, it seems like they don't sign artists unless they think they know what they want to do with them
Yeah,
already.
development deals don't exist anymore.
Yeah. So
Basically.
maybe you get the first album right away. But then I know it was the case with Hanson. Like they put their first album out, their first major label album out. I think they put their second one out. The first one did, of course, was off the charts. That was the one with Umbop, Three Car Garage, massive album for them.
Yeah.
And then I think it was their second or third album was the one that they had to release independently because what was going on a lot in the 90s where bands were getting, there was a lot of record label consolidation going on. Oh, sorry. The album was called Middle of Nowhere. All of the Hanson fans in the chat are screaming. I know there's so many of you. Well, basically, they released Middle of Nowhere. They released, I think, I forget what the album after that was called. I think that one was actually released. And then This Time Around was released. And then they had finished, I think around right after This Time Around was released, which was not promoted well. Though it did have 2 singles go gold, was when they got bought. Their record label got bought out. Whatever label they were on, it was Mercury. They got transferred. This Time Around was released on Island. Underneath was not released because Island was then acquired by Def Jam. So you have this band of 3 teenagers, maybe at one time. By that time, Isaac might have been in a full ass adult. Maybe,
Right.
I don't really know. Who were on a hip hop record label. Like Island Def Jam was primarily a hip hop record label, so they did not know what to do with it.
Right. I didn't know all that. I've never been like, obviously it was a massive hit, Mbop, but in 90, I looking at the
6,
article here,
7, something
7.
like that.
Yeah, found it right here. I didn't know they'd gone through like, I just thought they kind of faded. I knew they kept making music for like they never really stopped.
No, they've their last album came out last May.
Yeah,
They release like one album a year or one album every couple years. I think I don't know what the last one I actually listened to at length was, but and it's all released on their own. And basically, like every time they end up, I think it was their 2013 album Anthem hitting number 22. At least at the time, it was 22 was the highest that any independent release album had ever charted.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
There's been an independent at number 1 right now at this point.
I don't know. Probably, maybe.
Curious. Now I need to know.
Highest charting independent album. Let's see what we got. Apparently Adele's 25.
Oh yeah.
Was an independent album. Now they're showing like a lot of other ones that I did not think I did not realize were independent. Oh, this is the Billboard 2. How is the Billboard 200 different than the Billboard?
Dude, I don't know. There's way too many charts. And why are some of these under? I found the same article you did, apparently, because I'm like, those are not independent albums.
Yeah. Like what? The Lion King soundtrack?
Right. That's not an independent album. Disney, come on.
So I don't know. But like I said, at least
Snarky, it's worse than that. If you're signed by one label and the label gets bought out and the new label doesn't want you, sometimes they don't let you out the door and they just hold you to your contract, which means you can never put out music under that name.
This is what we're talking about, and that's what happened with JoJo, I believe.
Yeah,
it's basically
they hold you in limbo in a contract that you can't get out of. So now that's what happened when Prince would change his name to the artist formerly known as.
Right.
His name was stuck in a contract he didn't want to put out music under anymore.
Right.
That's probably the biggest, most common example. But yeah, sometimes labels will sign an artist just so nobody else can sign them because they're competition for another artist they already have.
Yep. So basically in 2008, JoJo said she was writing and producing an album. In August 30th, she released a single. In 2009, she said that she was waiting for her label to sign a distribution deal.
Oh my god.
And then later in 2009, she sued her record label for basically not doing anything with her.
Yeah.
And it just turned into this whole thing, and then she started releasing mixtapes. And again, this is one that I knew about because JoJo was one of these artists that like she blew up as like a 13-year-old. And got really big, and then she did a couple movies that did decently, and then her first album was released in 2004. Her second album was released in 2006, and she did not release another album until 2016. And it was not because she wasn't working.
Right.
It's because her label wasn't working.
Yeah, it kills a lot of artists, and they'll never get them back.
Mark DeBruyne mentions that the Stone Roses had that kind of problem.
Yep.
Apparently, there was a UK boy band called Bros that had that problem. Yeah.
And then there's untold number of artists that you never heard of that had that problem. They were locked into a deal and they never got to release anything.
Yep. So we're coming up fast on the 2-hour mark. I think we're going to take a couple more questions and get out of here because I'm getting hungry again.
Yeah, I need to go do a couple things out in the other room here in a little bit.
I will say I hope everything sounded good out there. I may have to actually listen back to this. Sure. I'm using the Mackie EM, I think it's the EM99 mic for the first time. So hopefully it sounds good.
Better than your headset mic.
Cool. I really like this microphone. This is what we used at Sweetwater for the Sweetwater podcast episodes, was this mic into their interface. And now I'm running it into the UA Volt 2. Nice. Ryan had one laying around, so I brought that home. And
I dig it. So yeah, any other questions? Anybody got anything new they want to talk about real quick in these last few minutes? I'm looking around the room to see if I have anything else that's new that I could show, but stir up a little conversation, but I really don't. I need to not have anything else new for a long time.
When you buy things, okay, this is bad. Let me ask you this question. When you buy a thing, do you pretty much open it right away?
Oh yeah.
Do you open it one away guy?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I don't think I talked about this last time.
Okay. Wait, y'all, there are people who don't open things right away? What?
Maybe I did. I don't know.
I was just saying, there are people who don't open things right away.
I'm not good at, I'm just like, I buy things that I'm like, oh, I want that. And then I don't open it. So I played this at a expo a few months ago.
Dude, that pedal's so good.
I bought this at GearFest, and then about a week later, my sales engineer called me, and he goes, "Hey man, how's that MXR Poly Blue Octave working out for you? Like, I saw that you were on site and this and that and whatever. How's that working out for you?" And I went, "Wait, what?" He goes, "You know the MXR Poly Blue? You bought it on site." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I bought that."
Steve.
So I haven't played it yet. I mean, I know what it sounds like because I played it I played it at an expo, but I have used the spell book. So these aren't available, but I think they're a lot of fun. So I do that. Snarky wants to know thoughts on my new Egnator tweaker. I've always heard good things about that amp, but to reply to you who has the username Snarky with a response that is also snarky, what is this 2008? The tweakers are supposed to be good amps though.
Yeah, I've never heard anything bad about them. I'm just a snob, so I don't have one. I get it. I know that's the reputation I have, so I get it. It's not that big a deal. But I've heard really, really good things about them. I don't know if you got the 15 or did they make a 40-watt one?
I think he's got the 15 from what
Okay. I feel like there were a couple of different wattage levels of the tweaker amp, but
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like to get something in the mail and not immediately open it. Now, maybe not use it. I get it, but I don't know what that's like. Like I literally will take time off work to come home so I can be here when it gets here.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I also,
Mm-hmm.
don't like the things sitting outside.
My next projects are I need to build a desk for my kid. I own the desk. I don't know when I'm going to build it because we also need to paint her room. And
Okay.
then I bought because I am starting to kind of get clutter uh in on my desk.
Yeah.
And part of alleviating that is I bought a dual monitor stand. So it's like a
Oh,
single base with what do they call it when it's GI Joe and all of his parts can move?
oh,
Articulating.
arms. Yeah, yeah. I've got one.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I
I've
have.
got a yeah, so I bought a monitor stand with articulating arms, so I'm gonna get
Like
that
a
hooked up.
stand or like clamped to the side of your desk stand.
It's gonna clamp. It'll clamp
Okay.
to the desk.
That's what I have. I need
Uh,
a bigger monitor is my problem. So I only
mm.
have one monitor and it's right here and it's not a big one. I want to get one about twice as wide so I can have multiple things up all at once.
What Mac are you using?
I have it's an M1 mini.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't get one of those
Uh-huh.
because at work I run a I call it a 2 monitor setup. I'm actually technically configured as a 3 monitor setup, but my
Uh-huh.
third monitor doesn't run. Like it's just there. It's on. But the
Yeah.
M1 will only support one external monitor. And I
Yeah.
knew I knew that because I at work I had gotten used to like the 2 full monitor workflow. So unfortunately, that meant no M1 or the M2 doesn't do it either. You have to go with the full ass like
Yeah.
Intel Pro stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I don't do it anymore with my gaming PC. I ran a 3 monitor setup.
mm,
I turned that down to one. I need to decide if I'm going to continue being a PC gamer or not, because
mm,
I'm at that point that I really need to to build a new computer. I don't know.
right.
Anyway, neither here nor there. I was running 3 monitors there, but so at work I only have one because I could add one, but it's a
Hmm.
really big, like all in one computer at work, right? So
Hmm.
it's such a big screen that I can just split screen everything and not
Right.
need a second monitor. And that's what I want to do here. Like, I don't feel the need to have multiple monitors with my Macs, like with my MacBook Pro or with the this one. What I do like is to be able to just because I don't ever full screen anything on a Mac.
Gotcha.
And so I can just, as long as I have enough space to put everything out, I can do one monitor. It's just got to be a big monitor. So I'm
Mhm,
looking
mhm.
at some of the curved, like the bigger curved widescreen monitors, because I think it will make working in Premiere Pro and in Logic a lot easier
Right.
because it's a pain right now. I can't stretch out a story or a timeline long enough to get the kind of detail I need. But
Gotcha. Oh, goals.
goals, man. I need a new monitor bad. So
Yep. All right. I think this was a pretty successful run. Apparently, we got 33 people still right now. We had like
yeah,
I think we peaked 50, 55.
hey,
So
look at that.
pretty cool. So maybe this whole morning thing the morning thing works for my life schedule is the thing. So
Right. Yeah, I
uh
like afternoons personally, but
yeah. But thanks everyone for coming and hanging out with us for a couple hours. And
yeah.
we
And
will do this again in next month.
for those of you that came, because most of you did, because you follow the your 60 cycle hum subscribers, go down and subscribe to 40 watt for me.
Yeah,
I'd appreciate it.
for sure. All right. Thanks again and stay grounded.
Later, y'all.